I don't really care if this gets recorded, but you might. So I'm gonna. So I want to be.
Who might
criticize me on here?
No,
Wait, I might.
no,
who
the
might?
general you. Somebody.
Oh, okay.
Criticize the show. She's got beef with the show now.
I like to be criticized on here.
Just kidding.
But no, like it's a me thing than more than anything else. But it's like I feel like, and maybe this is just like in my own head, but I feel like I constantly have to justify myself for everything, not necessarily with this group of people, but just in general in life. Like I feel like I constantly have to justify my tastes and my decisions and back everything up, and it makes me kind of feel like, you know, why am I not just allowed to have like my preferences? Why do I have to come armed like a lawyer with like my reasoning for everything?
Well, I mean, it depends on how deep you get with it. I mean, we are a critical group.
You want me to answer that honestly?
Yes.
In my Ishmael way?
Sure, why not?
Because you're like 6'9" and he sucks.
But see, that's an opinion too.
But that was a joke as well.
But you know, getting back to what you were saying about the whole, when we were talking about hip hop and like violence in the community, I mean, that's a big.
Hang on. Hold that thought.
Okay.
Sorry, continue. I had an interruption.
I was just saying that's a big issue. And we talked about it in the chat. In the end, I think we agreed that it's different when it's localized and you have people in your school who are like involved in local rap groups that are antagonizing each other. But like for those of us who lived in the 90s and saw that hip hop was often this like, you know, scapegoat for all of society's ills, when like you said earlier today, like, you know, like the Black community didn't create these problems and hip hop certainly didn't create them, but all of a sudden hip hop was being blamed for all of this stuff. So like in the chat, that was kind of like the temperature of the conversation. But I think you totally won people over when you were like, no, these kids are like local crews who are like antagonizing each other and like threatening each other. That's like totally different.
And shooting each other, and I've witnessed it.
Yeah, but that's like real, that's like, that gets back to my point that like real peer pressure is your peers, not like some, you know, millionaire artist on a poster who you want to be like. That's like white America's nightmare and you know, Black Americans' nightmare. These are people who are out of touch with their kids and they don't really know how to like realize where stuff is coming from. Like when I was growing up, it was your cousins you had to watch out for who were on the wrong side of the tracks that were getting into shit. Not because I'm watching like Snoop Dogg and I want to like be like him. It's like the people in the neighborhood who are influencing you.
You know, right? Sean's no good.
Well,
it's the same old story. It's right. Your parents are always trying to keep you away from the kids on the wrong side of the tracks, or watch out who you're running with. They're always asking you, who's that? Whose boy is that? Do I know their parents? Like all that shit. It's got nothing to do with some musician they're worshiping on television. But this has been a failure of parents and just society in general blaming the wrong shit, you know? And it got worse when it was like the same politicians who were screwing us over were the ones rolling over Snoop Dogg CDs. Meanwhile, they're like taking foods out of like people's mouths and like trying to keep the minimum wage really low.
I mean, even my students
creating mandatory minimum sentences.
Yeah.
Even like my students don't take, not that they don't take him seriously as a rapper, but they don't take Snoop Dogg's social media posts seriously.
Well, he's
Like,
an old
They were
loony man
laughing
now.
about him.
He's just an example. That's not even a good example because he's old. First
He's
of all,
sold out.
Yeah.
He's
No,
doing
but I'm-
Corona
what I'm-
commercials now.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, in general, like, they don't take, like, famous people's, like, in class discussions, like, they don't take famous people's Instagrams at face value. They just get a laugh out of them when they post memes and stuff.
right?
Well, I think that's how it was in the 90s. We all knew a lot of it was just part of the image that they were trying to create.
Yeah,
A
but
lot
our
of the
parents,
stuff-
like our parents, though, were like, you know,
Were freaked.
yeah,
But I mean, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Is it like logistically, like, I know that logically, I know that everybody's allowed to have, and everybody has their own opinions. And God, I'm one to talk because some of my opinions are very controversial compared to the general public. But I kind of felt like that the criticism that was coming earlier of Cardi B and NWA was kind of along those same lines as like the parents in the 90s who were driving
could have been.
over Snoop Dogg CDs, and I felt like I had to call it out, but you're kind of right that I don't always have to be the social police either.
No, I didn't mean. I maybe that was a little like too general of a state, but you don't have to worry. I mean, nobody's perfect in the world, and the more like I've learned this when I was doing it, the more you want, like you try to, oh, they're littering, clean up at, the more you push that on people, the less likely they're going to change. The only way you can get people to change really is by being being a better example. That's everything else saying, oh, you should clean up your cigarettes, or you should not smoke, or whatever it is you're going to say to somebody. It never works until you show them how much better it is when they don't do those things, or when they do, depending on what you're trying to do. Example is the only way to change anybody's opinions.
So, I mean, as much as I know what I like, there is validity to people who don't, people have a valid opinion, like they don't like certain subject matters. That's like totally okay.
Right.
I mean, there's certain subject matters, obviously, that I don't like either, but I'm always afraid to admit sometimes when I don't like them because I don't want to come off as being like prejudiced towards a certain group that I don't consider myself prejudiced towards or against.
I mean, that's on you to like find that piece. But
I say embrace your weirdness.
You can not like something, not because, there's like a deeper reason, but maybe sometimes there is. I mean, that's something to look at too. But I mean, in all honesty, like plenty of Black people think that Cardi B is ratchet. That's just the truth. And she probably embraces that word.
Right.
Like
She don't even care. She like that's the thing is like once you've moved yourself beyond the thoughts and the opinions of everyone else, and you only really care what you feel, then you don't really feel the need to tell everybody else. You just enjoy. You can almost be free of opinionatedness and.
But it's like I feel like I can't be opinionated about anything because
wait. People think Cardi B is ratchet.
Right, that you just do, and you get like, and you like her, and that it's great that you like her. That's your life. You don't have to worry about what other people think of her because you like her.
But I mean, it's not about like what other people think of her. It's about the fact that like I feel like terms or implications of ratchetness is like coded language.
Well, I mean, they use coded language on Gandhi, and I mean, it doesn't just because people use coded language on somebody doesn't make I don't, what, it's people are gonna hate on everybody, no matter what they do. Mother Teresa had haters, you know. Uh,
She's just not
you're like
everyone's. She's not everyone's
cup
bag.
of tea.
Some
Right?
people.
She's not everybody's.
I mean,
Well,
honestly, like
she's not everyone's bag, and she's not even one of my favorites. But like, I think that like, but I think that like she should be disliked on her artistic merits or lack thereof, and not like, I think that people need to consider like, well, do we dislike her because she sucks, or do we dislike her because of a cultural difference that we don't understand? You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And it's like I very much feel the type of way about like anything that can come across as coded language, because I've worked with so many people who have used it against my Black and Latinx students,
Yeah.
who have said things like, you know, oh, they're poorly behaved, or oh, they're rude, or oh,
Right.
like they, so on and so forth, or oh, they act ghetto. Like, that's like, to me, like, if you don't like something, fine, but but kind of to imply, whether on purpose or not, that the reason you don't like them is because they're ghetto or ratchet, to me shows a cultural misunderstanding.
Well, yeah. I mean, unfortunately for Sam, that's going to be rough for him to get away with because of who he is. But you know, there are a lot of people in the hood who probably think she's too ratchet. You know, like people have their tastes, and some people are like, that's just not what I like.
But
You know?
I mean, I guess it's like, you know, and I'm not saying that he wasn't doing this, but I think like the way he or I have the angle, like the verbiage that like he or I would have to use to say that she wasn't our cup of tea would have to be especially carefully crafted to not make it sound like it was like
Well, yeah, I think that's what he was trying
biased.
to. That's what he was trying to do.
That's
but
what I was trying to say.
But you decoded his. You know, I think he was trying to say that like she's not my bag, or she's not, you know, she's not my thing. But I think you decoded his attempts to carefully word it. So it's like, what's the guy gonna do? He likes what he likes.
And I mean, that's on me. Maybe that's on me. Like, I'm just overly. That's a me problem. I'll fully admit that. Like, I'm just overly sensitive to like any potential implication of like cultural or class misunderstanding.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you have kids, and I'm glad that you feel that way, so you can stand up for your kids. And, you know, I mean, between you and me, no matter how ratchet or ghetto she is, I'm able to understand that she's smart and that she does have an acute political analysis where Sam is not. And I find that's unfortunate that he's missing that. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's his bias that makes him not be able to see, oh, she did break that down pretty smart. She did, like, you know, kind of take something and kind of turn it into like, and she did take like a complex concept and kind of turn it around so that people can understand it quite well. I've heard her do that a few times, whether it was with Bernie or even on her own. So,
Or
maybe
she
you're
took
right.
down Candace Owens. But like,
Right.
I guess like my thing about it is that like, my thing is that like, and maybe I need to just, maybe I'm like, I need to admit this about myself, is that you're right that he was trying to, that you're right that he was trying to word it carefully, but the fact that I felt some type of way about it anyways kind of shows that like, kind of showcases my own bias that I need to admit to, in that
So
I'm
it's
biased against, I can be biased against people who grew up in privilege.
Yeah, well, it's all concept. It's all context, right? Like this was Sam's baby. He took the time to come up with this list. He was vulnerable enough to come up to us, let us hear the list, even though music is very hotly contested and is subject to all types of debates. And he let us, put him on the stand, and he had several people, basically judging, how he felt. That's not an easy position to be in. So, like, we got to be at least sensitive enough to, like, think about, like, are we doing this for fun, or, is this like a thesis that he has to defend?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I mean, you're right, and like, in the sense of like, maybe I was taking it too seriously, but like,
I know the name of the show is Let's Get Serious, but
but it's supposed to be satire.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, Sam could just be like, I understand what you're saying, Emily, but that's not what it is. So take it how you want.
Yep.
Especially,
Also,
and I feel very strongly about that, because one of the things that I take seriously is if I tell you something isn't personal or isn't what it is, then I'm no longer going to be concerned if you choose to take it that way. That's just how I am.
Because you gave a disclaimer.
Yeah, like I'm letting you know, like that's really not what it is. If you then continue to take it that way, well, that's on you. You can stress out over. You know what I mean? And I'm not speaking of you specifically. I'm speaking of obviously the you.
General you.
Yeah, the general you. You know what I mean? That's just something that I stress, like, because I understand I can say things that offend people. And I've even said, I remember specifically a situation, I'm not going to get deep into it, but I remember specifically a situation that I said publicly on Facebook, and people felt some type of way. And I'm the type of person, I wasn't running with that whole shtick in the 2016s where people were like, I don't care if I offend you. I do care if I offend you. It doesn't mean that I'm going to change my position. But my intention is not to offend you. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll let you know, like, listen, if I offended you, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm sorry that I offended you because it was not my intention. Or I don't think the way that you're thinking, and I'll clarify as much. And then if you want to run with it, well, now it's on you. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like if I slight you and I'm genuinely sorry, and I let you know that I'm sorry, and I'm genuine about it. If you choose not to accept my apology and continue to be mad, the onus isn't on me anymore.
Right.
I don't have to be stressed out. You understand what I'm saying? So, that's what it is. Like, if Sam, we got to keep in mind, if Sam is saying that that's not his intention, or he doesn't feel a certain way, that's why, I didn't.
The benefit of that.
Yeah. I didn't argue. It wasn't an argument for me that he felt that those lyrics implied rape. I told him I didn't agree, that I didn't think that that was the case, but I wasn't criticizing his perspective of it, because that's how he felt. And he already let me know as much. You understand what I'm saying? It's not my responsibility to change his opinion. I can just add my opinion to it.
I mean, you're right about that, but like, if it was just like interpretation of the lyrics, I
I
wouldn't
think
have
his
got
interpretation is bad.
if it was just but if it was just about his interpretation of the lyrics, like I may agree or disagree about it, but I wouldn't like feel a type of way.
You felt the
But
type of way because he prefaced it with that they did a disservice to the community. But I don't know. I don't want to speak for Sam.
but
Community
here's the
could be the
thing.
rap community rather than the general public.
I mean, you're right, but like just the way that I said it, kind of like, or just the way that it came off to me, kind of like reeked of like an air of, well, I'm the one who knows what's right for everything. And
Well, then you felt bad because you felt like in a similar situation, you were judged for how you came off.
Mm.
Right?
You mean with?
You mean when you called us all niggers?
No, I didn't. But like, no, you mean like the situation with the number guy?
No,
that what-
when you're talking about does rap like cause violence in the community?
Oh yeah, no, I felt like that. Like, yes, you're absolutely right. I felt like he was doing the same thing that I was being accused of doing.
See, I mean, I know it's human nature to feel that way, but if you come across as, hey, it's unfair when I do a thing, I get treated a certain way, and when someone else does, they don't. It's like hard to like, what can anyone do with that, you know? Because there's always like a multitude of reasons, like different things come off differently, right? So like if you make it personal, then it just like, then there's just nowhere we can go with that.
Or like that, like the way that I say things might, or the way that that person X, Y, or Z says things might come off. It's like I could say the exact same thing as someone else, and it could come off and elicit a more negative reaction because I can be abrasive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or
Sam can be abrasive too. I think we all can be abrasive at times.
I mean, I think everybody is
Human
abrasive. I think everybody is abrasive at times.
I think it's just if you take it personal or not. I would just say try not to take things so personal.
But it's weird because like it's not personal for me, like in the sense that like it doesn't affect me directly.
Well, I get the gist that, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I get the gist that you feel like Sam was given maybe more of a pass where you weren't.
Right.
In a similar situation.
Yes. Or that, yes, that he was given a pass where I wasn't. Or that, like, you know, I felt almost like, you know, I've had to do the work to check my privilege. Like, why hasn't everybody else?
Okay, so I'll say this. I'll say in the one situation that I was privy to, the circumstances were different, right? Mm-hmm. That was a situation where we got into a conversation that we all, on some level, invested in, and we were invested in your perspective specifically. And then, you know, you said certain things that caused us to continue to invest more. Where Sam, you know, what Sam said about NWA kind of was, I won't say that it was different than your perspective. I'll say that it was more like, it was like, I didn't agree, but also I didn't catch the same energy. Like I didn't even really pay attention until you reiterated that he said disservice to a community, at which point I said that was a good question, because it was a good point that you made, because I didn't even catch that.
Well, you know, the convo with Emily was also a serious convo.
Yeah.
The convo with Sam started off as just light fare.
Right. That's why I meant the context was different.
There's that. I do think it's interesting that we're getting back into this whole, like, I'm the only woman, I'm being talked over by everyone, because this was a conversation before. And now it's coming to fruition. I mean, at the end of the day,
I ever explicitly said that I was being talked over because I was a woman, but I mean, maybe I.
Oh well,
that.
you said something about mansplaining.
Mansplaining.
You said mansplain too.
I guess I did, but
yeah.
You didn't say mansplain to. You said mansplained over.
Oh, okay.
That's well. What I meant was just like that. Wasn't that people were necessarily mansplaining to me, but that y'all were like so invested in like going all crossfire and yelling over each other and missing the fact that missing the fact that I was trying to talk.
That's what the fellas do.
Now here's the thing, because I'm a jerk that way, and so I should probably say it on here. I'm a jerk that way in the sense that, like, when you say, and you're not wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but when you say I'm the only woman, when you put it in that context, right? I never look at it that way anyway. Like, I don't care in a conversation. Like, I never look at it like but that's just because I've come up, and me and Mike had this conversation privately before. Like, I just came up in my life around, I was raised by women. I lived in a house with women. There were no men in my house. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I currently live in a house with women now. So I don't look at the difference when it comes to the like context of conversation. I just like, I don't feel like, and maybe that's just me, I don't feel like I have to go out of my way to be like, oh, there's a woman here, let me make sure, because I feel like we're all people and everybody get in where they fit in.
Well, I mean, I would agree with that sentiment. I don't think it's about necessarily like me being a woman per se.
But I'm only saying that because you specifically said it. Now you're qualifying that, so that's cool. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
But like,
I was just telling you why I said what I said.
I mean, it seems like I was kind of using that as an analogy, like in the sense that like, because to be honest, I'm not sure like what the reason for it was and if it was gender based or not, but like the way I felt at the time was like that, like, y'all were all yelling over each other and like, or not yelling, but like spiritedly talking over each other, and I was like, how I get at the counter at Starbucks waiting for my coffee, like, hello, excuse me.
It's interesting. when people are frustrated, not saying this is you, it's just something that I found. It's interesting because very early on, Flav and I had a discussion about this. It's actually a very long discussion in one of our early shows and On That Ish, where I was explaining, and I still stand on that, but I feel like sometimes in frustration, people say the things, not even that they necessarily mean, but the things that will have the greatest effect. To either get their point across or create a certain feeling or whatever it may be. People kind of, and it doesn't even mean that and I remember, Mike, we had this conversation. It was about something else, but it was the same energy.
I remember. I definitely remember.
Yeah,
I definitely remember.
And that's, I'm wondering if that could have been the case, that in your frustration and how you were feeling while we were going at it, that was the first thing that you were able to manifest in order to kind of get the floor and express your point. Because that's something that is absolutely, if we're the guys with the character that we profess and walk around carrying, that is something that is going to give us pause, right? Like that's gonna make us
You're
be
right.
quiet and listen.
You're right.
You understand what I'm saying?
You're
what, by saying mansplain
right.
over?
Yeah,
by saying mansplain over?
Not just that, but in the context that it was said, you know what I mean?
Saying something, I think what you're getting at is like saying something is that like I was frustrated because I was like, but excuse me, excuse me, and like
he just happened to be wanting to talk about something,
and it
like
clearly wasn't like working for me to be like, but excuse me,
he
so,
got
like,
us all excited saying that
So,
Kendrick Lamar was the #1 West Coast rapper
But,
of all
like-
time, which is
but like the point is that like
You didn't like that.
I don't like
point-
that at all. It's preposterous to me.
Oh, hold
I
on,
mean,
hold on. I want to hear
hold-
where Emily's going with this.
but the point is that I just got so frustrated that I kind of said like the first thing that came to mind that would just like stop everybody in their tracks. And
Mhm.
I think
Which-
that's what you're kind of getting at.
It's
Which
something
was
that I
mansplain
recognize
over?
that people do. Like I think we all on some level do it, even if we don't necessarily mean. You understand what I'm saying? Like I just think it's something that people do, especially out of frustration. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and the thing is like, even when they're, I'm not gonna lie, like, also like, it's a problem that I have, but, and you can ask poor Misha because he's gotten the wrath of this like a bajillion times, but like, it sets me off when like when somebody even if they're my friend, like it sets me off when somebody who very clearly, like, for lack of a better term, grew up with means and with privilege, tries to say how they think that the world should be.
I'm sorry. Did you say memes?
Means, MEANS.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought you said memes.
I thought you
Yeah,
said
me
I was like,
memes,
you grew up
memes
with
too. I was like,
memes.
memes
Like
have
memes?
No,
existed
sorry, I
Like,
was
yo.
the
I was-
70s.
I was
grew up with-
mumbling.
Wait, memes have existed since the 70s?
Yeah, a meme is just, and it came from I think a Swedish guy
French,
came
maybe?
up with the term, and
Okay.
it's anything that portrays an idea. Like,
Oh, okay.
so
But I
like,
think that like the point is that like even if they're my friends, like I feel a certain type of way when like when somebody who seems to have had it easy is trying to tell or when it appears to me that somebody who had it easy is trying to tell everyone what to do or trying to act like they're the arbiter of morality.
Well, I
You know
mean,
what
if it's your list, you get to do that. But getting back to the list, I want to get on this Kendrick Lamar thing. So, is it because he hasn't been in the game long enough? Is that why?
that why
it's
I don't
ridiculous?
agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Because there's just too many other. It's too general of a statement. I can't choose one person to say. There's.
Oh, so you're saying no one can claim King of the West Coast?
I don't think you can put somebody until there's just no there's no clear winner.
Some people say
I mean, what's
Snoop.
what's
Some
the
people say
criteria?
Snoop is King of
Well,
the
there's
West.
no king of New York either.
What's
No,
the
right,
criteria?
I can't
There
even
was. Biggie was when he was alive.
Mm,
I guess when he was alive, yeah.
mm.
Yeah, I mean they
There
had
was
whole
really
song.
nobody-
They had whole. I mean, he called himself the Black Frank White. There's lyrics like "There's more." Nas was
Right.
rapping about it. There's more to this King of New York shit. Like the
I mean,
whole
even
Nas, Jay Z.
even with that, even with all that taken into consideration, it's still arguable.
Right.
Oh, well,
on the
anything's
West-
Still arguable
arguable,
but-
because you have
Yeah.
Nas and Mobb Deep and all of these other, and Wu
You know,
Tang for that matter.
It's arguable, but to be a king, I think it's easier if you're a solo artist,
right.
right?
You
Because
can't say
Mhm.
Wu Tang because that's a group.
it's a whole group.
Mm.
And
without
I think general consensus, like if you Google King of New York rapper right now, Biggie will come up.
you get Biggie,
That's
right?
just a fact.
I-
Biggie will come up.
Not in today's Google searches, not if you, because that's not how people talk anymore. Like
Well, that's what I'm
I don't
saying.
think you can
They
still.
don't-
I still don't think you can deny it though.
you can't
no,
deny
you're
it.
not-
Well, let's
the
put
kids
it this way.
don't really use that phrase, so I think it'll still come
no,
up.
that's not. Nope. That's not true.
Really, they have Kings of New York now, Little Kings.
Hold on.
Lil,
He said Little
There's-
Kings, Little
yeah,
King,
all
Lil K.
The only thing I'm gonna
Kiki,
get is gonna
Lil
be
KK.
King Kong.
but the point is
They
that
be
like
running
if
around
you
like I'm the Prince of New York.
no, but if you
Christopher Walken movie.
I'm being dead serious though. The social media buzz and the buzz with the
Sweet
kids, because I hear them talk, is that they pit the current rappers against each other for the
Yeah.
whole King of New York moniker.
Yeah, but look,
Now-
look,
For the
But-
Duke
Look.
of New York.
look. I googled it. I didn't even put in rapper. I put in King of NY, and it just did the rest for me. Rapper, the Notorious B.I.G. It did the rest for me.
Who is the King of New York? And I get
Now I'm just
Cardi
saying
B.
though I'm
Cardi
just saying
B.
that surprises me though, because the internet generation has named their own quote unquote kings of New York, and you would think that like just by sheer volume that would show up more in the search because Notorious B.I.G. wasn't around for the internet.
But
You
who
know
are
what
they
I mean?
naming? Like Little Pip?
Yeah, but he
Pop
ruled.
Smoke.
He ruled the
6ix9ine.
kingdom for a long time, Emily. So even these little fiefdoms and these little kings that are showing up, they're probably getting picked off left and right. Big was the ruler.
Let me ask my wife.
time.
Hold on. Who's the number one rapper in New York? Who's the King of New York? All time. What do you mean you don't know? Oh, never mind. Never
my point-
mind. You are
But
no
my
help.
point is that
I
it's
thought
the
for
kids.
sure she would have said Biggie.
My point is
For
that the kids
sure.
are the
I
ones.
don't know.
The kids are the ones creating internet references. So
Well,
Like-
did you ever get around to seeing the documentary
which one?
about the social dilemma?
I
Oh
saw
no, I
part of
didn't see.
it.
See,
I don't
if you
have
had
Netflix.
seen it, you would have had an answer right away to why that came up.
I love it
Well-
when you call me Big Papa.
The answer is that I do have an answer. The answer is that it goes along with the kinds of things that they think you personally. The first thing
Yeah,
what goes
Yeah,
along with
it
what they
knows-
think
it-
you
it knows me.
personally.
my Google knows me. My Google
Here,
So
knows
let me-
me.
you might get
Hang on.
6ix9ine or Pop Smoke.
Yeah, you're gonna get something like that. You're gonna get something ratchet.
I input jam. I Google. I'm constantly looking up the other things.
Oh no, you're right.
Strange.
I got Notorious B.I.G. I stand corrected.
No,
Yeah,
I
all
mean
those
it's
other-
been
Kendrick
a
Lamar
long.
on my
that's
list
been a
doesn't
long
even come
trope,
up till
like-
6.
I mean those guys developed that whole. Trust me. I mean that whole King of New York thing was part of the
He's there.
East-West
He's
beef.
like tying with Nate Dogg and Warren G and the Regulators.
What do you mean?
for Kendrick
Huh?
Lamar, he's on the level of Nate Dogg and Warren G on my list right here.
He's like Nate Dogg.
Oh,
and
He's
Warren.
only like
Well, I mean,
Warren G
Nate
and
Dogg's
Nate
a-
Dogg.
I mean Nate
That's
Dogg's
all
a
this-
high.
That's
Nate
not
Dogg's a
even
high
good.
level.
Come
Unfortunately,
on,
Nate
that's not a
Dogg's
high level. That's,
Nate Dogg's not
Oh.
a high level.
Not
no,
a high level
not
rapper.
like Dr. Dre.
Well, Nate Dogg's not even a rapper. First of all.
Yeah.
I found a list of what came up from it. I found a list of a history of rappers calling themselves the King of New York.
Okay.
The Notorious, well, Biggie was first.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Then XXL Magazine compiles a list of rappers who have staked claim to the crown of New York City in interviews. The Notorious B.I.G.,
Jay-Z announced.
Jay-Z, Big Pun, Fredro
Oh.
Starr.
Fredro Starr.
We're talking self-recorded here.
It was Onyx. Raise
I'm
it up.
there alone.
Raise it up.
Crown is mine.
I mean, I love Onyx, but that's funny.
Me too. Me too.
At
I love
Joe.
Sun C. Sun C.
Fat
Fat
Joe is
Joe.
definitely slept on, but I'm glad he's starting to get his props now that he has his Instagram show going, and all those stories he told are being backed
And his
up because
big-
people thought he was lying.
His big
Prodigy.
pun-esque style.
Prodigy.
I mean, he
Prodigy.
found Big Pun. So, oh yeah, Prodigy, come on, man. Prodigy.
Jadakiss.
Not on the king list.
50
No, I mean-
Cent.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm not. we're not going to give it to Prodigy, but he's definitely like give him a what do you call it? Runner up. What do you call those runner ups?
Like 30th runner up.
No, Prodigy's dope.
50 Cent, Shine.
Oh
Shine.
hell no!
What are we doing here?
All right, turn it off.
Stop
I
this
think I'm
list.
on
Like,
the
what is
page.
that?
Well,
Yeah,
I
stop
was
the
about
tape.
to get. I was about to get to the part no one would like.
No, you already got
You
there.
got there. Yeah, you got there.
Shine.
That was the cliff.
Yo, if she'd have said my sign, I might have been like, she went right to Shine first. Like,
My song wasn't on. I was reading a list. My song
I know you're
was
reading
not
a list.
on the list.
I'm not criticizing you. I'm criticizing this list that has Shine on it. Like,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's crazy.
Explain
No,
to me
but the-
why.
I'll tell you why. But I'll tell you why it had
Hey.
Shine on the list was because it was going through like rappers who had said in interviews, like or like in lyrics. So if he ever said it, then
So the guy that sounded like
it
Big
was a reference
tried
material.
to take the guy that was hired because he sounded exactly like Big also wanted to take the title as King of New York. That makes sense.
this dude was the king of a step in a subway station in New York.
Yeah, I mean that guy
This
was.
dude was the king of Clinton Correctional Facility.
Oh,
I mean,
ouch.
he's in politics now, so I mean,
Who,
Oh
Shine?
yeah, isn't he? Shine he's running for like
Yeah.
something of Belize. Like his dad was the president of
yeah,
Belize.
his dad was the president. He went back to his home country and he's like cleaned up his
Because
act
he
in,
got-
in
because
politics.
he got deported when they let him out of prison.
His dad wasn't the
Yeah.
president, but like some big government, like high,
That was
like
the four
president level.
kings. What the hell?
King of Belize.
King of Belize now.
Well, there's no king of Belize. But I
There
think
is now.
no, he was
King
the
of
prime
Belize rap.
I think he
King
was
of
the
Belize
prime
rappers.
minister.
Yeah.
I think he was the prime minister.
Prime Minister of
Oh.
Belize rap.
Who
Shine-
else is on this list? A+?
Never mind.
No, we want to
Never
know the
mind.
rest. We want to know the
Link
rest
was
of the
on
list. A+?
No,
You
I
never
got
know.
rid of I got rid of the list, but I can tell you what I remember from the list.
Okay.
Oh, man. We're just never gonna forget Shine was on
Yeah.
this list.
Soon as she says that, soon as she says Shine, we're like, whoa, stop the presses.
Somewhere in New York, some little kid is saying, Shine is the king of rap, the king of New York. And some parent is like, we did a horrible job.
And then
Basically,
after that, it said Nicki Minaj,
Hmm.
6ix9ine.
I'll
Cardi
take her
B.
before Shine.
I'd actually put Nicki Minaj a lot further up the list.
As would I, but it's
And
not
I'm not
in
even
any,
a fan.
It wasn't in any kind of order. It was, but it was in time order, not like greatness order.
I'm not even a fan, but I would say her impact coming out of New York is huge.
I mean, I would agree with you on that. But anyway,
Oh, so
I mean, for
Sam,
a
what
long-
you missed
for a
was
long
I was
time in
trying to defend your Kendrick statement. We were trying to
and
get into what.
I literally
And-
took one of those old school washing machines with like the 2 rollers and just like dragged you through it.
well,
No, we didn't really get that much.
No, I'm
into
kidding.
it.
No, we didn't drag.
I'm
We
kidding.
didn't really get that much into
I
it.
did say it
My-
was preposterous.
My theory was the reason that they say it's preposterous is just because he hasn't been around as long as some of the other folks. That's my theory. No one backed that up.
Hold on, I didn't say it was preposterous. Just to
Wait, your theory was that what? Sorry?
My theory
I would
was
put
that
him at
Kendrick
number
hasn't been-
6.
My theory was Kendrick hasn't been around long enough.
he-
That's why they think he's a
Greatest
preposterous
West
choice.
Coast rapper.
I don't think he's preposterous. I think it's
Maybe not
a
preposterous.
fair choice. I don't think it's preposterous at all. I think it's a
Yeah.
fair
Also,
choice. I don't
also-
agree with
Top
it,
10.
but I think it's fair.
also, Matt, who do you think it is then? Oh, you don't think you can just name one?
That's
Right, that was
what I said. I was like, it would be. I could put him in the list. I just can't put him number 1 because I can't put. I probably
I
can't
said it
put
would probably
anybody
be
number
I don't
1.
think you
I
could,
said it'd probably
Maybe
be
you
Snoop.
can't
Tupac.
put anybody
But-
number
Yeah,
one.
maybe Tupac. Yeah, maybe
Saint-
Tupac.
Yeah, I'll say
Tupac's a
Tupac.
good
If I
one.
gotta choose somebody
I mean, to me, I think it's whoever like
culturally,
paved the way.
Well, that's
First?
why I
So
would
that
say
might be
Tupac.
Ice Cube. That might be Ice
Ice-T.
Cube.
Well,
then.
Ice-T.
If it's paved the way, I
Ice-T
think
paved the
Tupac
way.
did more though than
So the
just
guy who
pave the
plays
way.
a cop on television for 20 years.
Ice-T was rapping in 86, DJing and rapping
Right.
in 86.
He
85,
he definitely
86.
had more of a pioneer role, but Tupac, when it became like a political movement. I mean, it was before, but
Right. So yeah, here's my thing about
nobody
Ice-T.
really grasped onto it like that.
I was kidding.
Ice-
I was only throwing Ice-T up because they said like
Oh, you're
pioneer,
kidding.
like, not
Okay.
that. Yeah, I don't
okay.
think he's
Okay.
that off.
So then I think a lot of people might say Cube then.
Yeah,
I would argue Cube.
So-
I just don't think Cube is lyrically on
Pardon me
Kendrick
for-
Lamar's level.
Pardon me for a second. Like, I think I have to say something.
Okay.
I think based on what we were talking, based on a lot of the other stuff we've been talking about too, I think I owe Sam an apology for coming off as abrasive as I did. It's a me problem, not a you problem.
Aw, Flav,
Like-
you got some Chariots of Fire music button.
Oh, you know what? I forgot we weren't recording. Just kidding.
No,
We've been recording. And yeah, I would play Chariots of Fire, but then we won't be able to make money off of this video. So
but it's
someone's got to hum
like,
it.
it's a me problem because like, it's a me problem because like I tend to
Wait,
I
wait, let her
tend to-
let her talk. Let her talk.
I tend to sometimes feel like that like
Hey, beautiful.
us as white people shouldn't be the moral arbiters, shouldn't like judge like the morality of Black and Latinx artists, or shouldn't try to push like our values onto the community. Like that we shouldn't be the moral arbiter of rap. And I felt like, and I don't, and this is not necessarily me thinking that you actually meant it this way, because like I said, it's just as much of a me problem as
Mhm.
anything else. But I interpreted it kind of as like, you know, as you saying the same thing that I had to come to grips with and got called to the carpet on, which was like that I was sounding like that I was blaming rap music for like community problems.
Okay.
Like I felt like that, like in a way I felt like, and I explained this to everybody while you were gone, so
Okay.
I don't, so I'm
So I
just
wasn't privy to this.
I'm gonna TLDR it, so as not to waste time,
Okay.
like because we have to go to work tomorrow. But like, but basically, like I felt that like in the group chat, like that I had been called to the carpet about saying that like, about saying